Knicks and Brews family, what's going on? This is your host, DJ Shuttle, and I got my guy, Tony Crow, with me. He getting his audio together. But right now, you got me. You feel me? When he tap in, you hear him, then you're going to have him too. Um, we got an action-packed show for you today. I don't even know what it's about, but that's how action-packed it is. I don't even know what it's going to be. You heard? Tony got some notes. It's gonna be the regular Knicks and bruises and Knicks, the way we do it, the way we does it, like we're doing it for TV. Shout to the chat, yo black is Tom, all aboard, all that. You heard? Tony Crow, you live? Oh, he not live yet. So all you got is DJ.
That's why we got Shuttle in the building, so he could take control when I got audio issues.
Oh yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
appreciate you.
Oh nah. So how was my intro?
That was great, man. That was great. I might have to clip it and have it ready.
Oh,
Anytime
standby.
I'm there. You go. But we gonna talk about the media day, whatever quick takeaways that we got from that. But I definitely want to get your thoughts because I haven't spoken to you. I mean, I'll text with you, but I haven't had you on since the trade. I don't know if you shared your thoughts on any other platforms, but I gotta bring you here
Nah,
to all right. Well, let's get it going, man. Shout out to DJ Shuttle, all aboard. You already know. Appreciate the intro. Your Black is time. What was your thoughts, man? When did you hear about it? How'd you feel about it? Has your thoughts changed after time to digest it?
well, I was doing a party Friday night when I got the text from Queen. I was on the set in party mode. And I happened to just look at my phone. I saw the text. Shuttle, we doing an urgent emergency, break the glass, go live right now. Trade is going down. And then I believe it was a link or a screenshot she attached to it. And all I could just say is wow. I couldn't really respond other than I'm doing a party right now. And I gotta catch the replay game after. My initial thoughts were pretty much what they are today because the Towns trade is not something really new. This has been looming. This has kind of been lurking and looming out there for at least a year, maybe 2 years, maybe as long as Tibbs been on the team. So when when we spoke recently, I don't know who it was I was speaking recently with, but the talk was how I think maybe it was this was talking about Mitchell Robinson getting traded though, and the talk was around the fact that this regime has all their own players except Mitch and Randall, and how no matter what they're doing, unless they're like tier one players, then they're not going to be tied to these guys. So for different reasons, I had been thinking and seeing that Mitch and Randall could be gone, and considering where we are with the season about to start, I was a little shocked that it happened when it happened. But when when Randall rather didn't re-sign that contract when he opted out and didn't get a deal done, I was like, okay, this
Well,
something might happen.
well, he didn't opt out. The opt in opt out will come at the end of this year, but he was extension eligible.
Okay, there. Thank you for correcting
Just
me.
to
He was
clarify.
extension eligible. He didn't get an extension, and so without having any inside source, my thoughts were he valued himself being eligible and should be getting a number up here. You see, it's off the screen, right? He thought he was going to get a number that was up here, and they thought he was getting a number that was more like right here. And there was no point in the middle where you could see me where they could agree. So once that happened, I was like, all right, well, maybe mid-season, maybe something with Mitch and Randall could happen. You know what I'm saying? Then when Embiid got his new deal, or they kind of agreed, I was like, all right, well, the Embiid thing is gone. Once Paul George came, I knew that was gone. So I was like, all right, that whole Embiid dream, that's gone. So I kind of was just was like, damn, all right, well, we stuck, man. Like it seemed like we weren't gonna get no deal for Mitchell to get a better center or to trade any other players and get a center. So I kind of thought we were stuck until at least the trade deadline. So the thing I was most shocked about was the fact that it happened when it
when
happened.
it happened.
But because again, Towns has been looming and lurking for at least 2 to 3, 4 years, I wasn't totally shocked. And yeah, think about it, man. Tibbs coached him. So, Cat had probably arguably his best years with Tibbs, and I think when you check off all of the boxes and you compare player by player and how they both impact the team, I think Towns has the potential to more positively impact this team as the team is constructed at this very moment for this season coming up.
Okay. Um, I got a bunch of questions for you on this topic, and we'll touch on media day. It's not much there, but I did take a couple of notes. You know what I mean, that I want to cover and clarify. But you talked about, you know, Towns' impact potentially being higher than Julius Randle. Um, DiVincenzo was included in that trade. I know as I scrolled through social medias and comment sections, I didn't really watch or listen to anybody's takes, but I did look at fans, Bleacher Report, etc. And the consensus, it seemed like people being mad that DiVincenzo was included more than the fact that Randall was gone in itself. Your thoughts on the inclusion of DiVincenzo? Um, just because you didn't mention him in this segment. So what was your thoughts on that part? Um, and we'll elaborate from there.
Well, my now that is more where how I felt first and then how I felt now. How I felt initially was, man, not because of anything specific to the whole Nova Knicks thing, but just because of his play. Like I love his energy, I love his attitude. I just love everything about how this guy plays. You know what I mean? And I was a fan of his in college. When he came out, he was somebody I was hoping the Knicks were looking at. Coming out of Villanova. So I hate to lose him, but at the same time, I think as we see with the Knicks offense, with all the players that they have, um, to me, Deuce is more of a shooting guard than a point guard. Now, the minutes that we thought Deuce wasn't going to get,
Mm-hmm.
now he's going to get them. The question marks around Landry Shamet, if he's going to play or not play, what are we going to get from him? I think Landry Shamet could potentially come in and shoot 40% from three, maybe in lesser minutes and the lesser role, but if you got Iron Man Bridges playing 35 minutes a game and Brunson playing 30, plus minutes a game, you're not going to really need that much minutes from Shamit like that. So I think in a limited role he could do well. Same thing for Deuce. A limited role, I think he could thrive actually. So I think that we have capable, proven NBA players to replace Devo. So I don't feel like we lost Devo and it's like, well, what are we gonna do? You know what I mean? Yeah, he's a loss, and I'm not thrilled to lose him. But considering the players that are available to fill in the shoes that he leaves, I think the team's in capable hands.
No, for sure. I do want to on record give a rest in peace shout out, to Dikembe Mutombo. I've been forgetting. I was on Queen show earlier. I did a show earlier. I obviously I put it up because somebody posted it, but I just want to acknowledge it verbally myself. So moment of silence for the great Dikembe Mutombo. I think he was only like 55 or something like that. So yeah, too soon gone. So I just definitely want to acknowledge that out loud. Um, and yeah, DiVincenzo had a hell of a year, and that's what I noticed more about everybody, the fan base, just really being upset we didn't get to see the Nova Knicks in its entirety. We still got three of them, And then there was a report that had came out about DiVincenzo's unhappiness. I do want to go on record again and say that there are reports now that that rebuke that and say that is untrue. That he didn't care about coming off the bench. He wasn't worried about his minutes being reduced and things of that nature. So I reported the first one, so I do want to go on and report the news saying that was untrue. So
You retracting your statements, Tom?
hey, I only report what I read. You know, that's what
Allegedly,
that's
allegedly.
allegedly. Yeah, that's right. That's why that word is so important. Parrish Douglas at 58 years old. Rest in peace to the big man for sure. James Bagland in the chat. Rest in peace. Not in my house. That's right. No, no, no. Um, and once a Nick, always a Nick. So gotta you know shout him out for that. Um, so it sounds like you're saying you understand the trade. What was your what was your as far as winners, losers of the trade, win-win? How did you view the trade? Because I'll be honest, when I first, I've been on record before that I wasn't the biggest fan of Cat. Um, I have also been on record and saying he's impressed me when he has, particularly last year. Um, and even before last year, I had thoughts of us trading for Cat amongst the rumors that we were interested, only saying that I would have rather have done it then when before the Supermax kicked in. That was a big part of my problem with him. But obviously the collective bargaining, the contracts are gonna be going up and up and up every year. If he hadn't signed that extension then, and he was signing his extension a year or two later, it would have been a lot more. You know what I mean? And it does have a potential by the end of the contract, considering where what players are making and how much the cap is to actually balance out to be a good contract by the end, especially if we win it all. But what was your thoughts initially? Did you think we won the trade, um, or did you just look at it from a understanding perspective and say you understood it?
Well, I think this is definitely one of those trades where it looks like it's potentially great for both parties involved. Um, I'm sure Minnesota wouldn't think that they could run this Twin Towers forever with two 7-footers in that starting lineup. So changing it up, also, making it very clear that this is Anthony Edwards' team, getting Towns, who if this was his team, formally out of there. I think that also is a positive factor for Minnesota, and it works in a very similar fashion for the Knicks. All right, Towns, you coming to the Knicks? Well, this is Brunson's team. This is his city, and you come in as a co-pilot, not as the lead pilot. So play your position. So I think it has the opportunity to be a great win-win for both teams. As I was saying to my homie Charlie Brown from Leeds New School, who's definitely a fan of the show. Um, what I was telling him was, with Randall's contract up right now, if he came back and had another Randall type season, 20 points, 9, 10 rebounds, the way he's been playing, you're gonna have to pay him a max. So I'm just like, well, would I rather play Towns, who's a little young, who's about what, year and a half, 2 years younger? Would I rather pay him a max? That I already know what it is
Mhm.
now, or start Julius Randle on a new max starting next season? And I'd rather with Towns. I feel like Towns is a better player. I agree. And with that post right there, I agree he's a better player. And I'd rather play him or pay him the max than pay Randall at this point.
Yeah, now I get it, and shout out to Nostalgic Nick. That's usually the consensus of whoever got the best player in the trade wins the trade. I agree with you in the sense that I do agree. I do think it's a win-win for both teams. Um, and the funny thing is, I was in Minnesota's chat as well, You know what I mean? Getting their research, getting their thoughts and opinions, and it was just as split, 100% just as split as the Knicks fan base was with this move.
I can only imagine how toxic their fan base is about how they feel about Towns is probably very, very much similar to how many fans feel about Randall in New York.
To a lesser degree, and I think that's only because you compare Minnesota to New York. You know what I mean? So it's less. It's not as venomous, but it's very similar. And earlier today, I talked about with me and Queen. Shout out to the Queen. We do our back to back lunchtime lives, and we talked about positives and negatives potentially of this trade. I'm not going to go deep dive into everything we spoke on. Go check it out. But there's some things that I forgot to mention and didn't remember until after we got off. And I'll list it again as a concern, if you will. One thing about Randall is, and I've spoke about this recently, is he's been through the fire in New York. You know what I mean? He's dealt with the venom of the fan base at times. He's gotten the love from the fan base at times, but he went through those dark times here and came right out of it. You know what I mean? Took the bullets, but kept on coming.
That's one of
And
the things
it's
I loved about Randall, actually.
but
Like,
it's something to say that not many people can do that here.
nah,
You know what I mean? So
he's on the short list.
when you talk about concerns, I know Cat is relatively from the city. He's a New York guy, New Jersey guy. You know what I mean? Maybe that helps him. You know, but it's still a question mark in my mind is how does he deal with that pressure
In the
that New
words
York
in the words
gives?
of Tony Crow,
Go ahead.
you have questions and you have concerns.
Mm-hmm.
You have questions and you have concerns. For me, it's less of a question and more of a concern because this guy's a little zesty. So um, I'm just gonna leave it there. I'm just gonna leave it there.
But that's what I mean, though. You know what I mean? Like the 2 game, 3 game losing streak. Part of me, and if he's not playing up to par, you know what I mean. How does he deal with that? Does
The
that
only
does that
the only
affect him?
thing that he has going for him good is that he has Brunson, he has Bridges, and he has OG on his team. So he could kind of fall under the radar for a game or two with their capabilities, and the Knicks can still win some games.
My guy Parrish Nugget, he says, "Cat is goofy, but superior at scoring from all over. This is about Brunson having proper weapons to set up and use." I mean, I see that. I see that 100%. And if we're winning, and I believe we will win a ton of games, like don't get me wrong, but there's peaks and valleys to a season. So my concern or my question, whatever way you want to put it, is really about when it's valleys, when it's not peaks. You know what I mean? That's one of my question marks. Um,
What if Brunson has to be out for 2 weeks? Towns, this is now your time to step up. How are you handling it when you have to be the focal point more of the team?
not just that. Most of the time, your top guy, the best player on your team, takes the brunt of all the responsibility, all the blame, all the praise. But there's a few times in this league where that's not the case. And I think Brunson is still. I think he had, you know, RJ here for a little while, Randall here for a little while, who was able to shield him from any type of blame. You know what I mean? Or most of. There's some people that call things how they see it. If there's people that say Brunson is a black hole as well, and things that it's not very many. But what I'm leading to is I think with Cat here and the contract he's under, with OG here and the contract he just signed, and then with Brunson opting extending now and not having that bigger contract um pres- presumably looming next year, he's shielded in a sense. You know what I mean? If things go bad,
to some
you,
degree, but
in a sense,
all consensus are that this is Brunson's team, though.
I'm not arguing that at all. That is a fact. And I'll go on record and say Brunson is the type of guy who is going to sit at that podium and take the brunt of the responsibility. We've seen it already, so kudos to him. But I'm just saying, if things are going bad or there's a shaky stretch, Cat is going to get that Randall treatment. OG is going to get a little bit of treatment as well, probably to a lesser degree, because even if he's not elevated offensively, we know game in and game out he's going to be there defensively, and that could win us some games.
So we're saying Cat essentially is the de facto new whipping boy.
In a sense, in a sense, I mean, I'm just calling it how I see it.
I
Don't get
see
me
it.
wrong.
I see it. I think it's going to be Towns is going to be a lot of highs and a lot of, and not I won't say a lot of lows, but I think it'll be a lot of highs and it'll be some lows. He'll be explosive. He'll have games he'll hit 5 or 7 from three. Then he'll have another game he'll 1 of 6 from three and be like, "Yo, go inside." You know what I mean? Like I think it's gonna be a little up and down. That's what I'm anticipating. So, but I think it's gonna be exciting, man. Like you know, don't get me wrong, Randall was good, but Towns just has a higher skill level. You know what I mean? He moves good without the ball cutting to the basket. He's much more efficient from three. I wouldn't say he's a better passer, but he passes good. He's good on the pick and pop. Like he's actually excellent on the pick and pop. So Brunson and Towns in the pick and roll, man. Damn, I can't wait to see that. That's gonna be crazy. Between the threes and cutting to the basket, I mean, it's so like I feel
and
like this is
and
gonna be
with
a high
and with
power scoring
Macau
team.
and with Macau on the left side and OG on the right side, or vice versa. You know what I mean? Ready to catch and shoot. I agree. That's gonna be dynamic. Part of me too.
Yeah, can't wait. Can't wait. Boss Scott, can't wait.
Oh, I had a couple more comments. Patch Doug on fire over here. He said Randall never got treated bad once he stepped aside and let Brunson take the wheel.
What?
I disagree. I mean, he was treated bad in his absence, in my opinion. You know what I mean? With the consensus, with the main talk being, I mean, we're better without him, which I think clearly we were not. I think when people say we were better without him, they looked at us before OG, because us with him and OG, there's no way you could tell me we was better without him. You know what I mean? And then obviously the success in the playoffs. I think people look at the 50 wins and look at the second seed and assume we were better without him. But as I have Queen and Sin, we've all come on record saying we once he went down, we wasn't dominating teams into the end of the year. You know what I mean? Like we crawled and fought and clawed our way to that second seed into those 50 wins. So that's where I say no, we weren't better without him. Now, did we perform great in the playoffs without him? Absolutely, we did. But I also think we could have won more with him. You know what I
including
mean?
including in the playoffs.
Including in the playoffs. Um, but yeah, it's neither here nor there. You know what I mean? I'm happy where we are. The Knicks went all in, put all their chips on the table, and we have a legit threat to come. I mean, I felt like we was a threat already. If all pans out health wise, I think sky's the limit. We match up a lot better against Boston now. I know there's been talks out there about Embiid head to head against Towns and how
Now,
dominant he's been.
but I will say, for all of the Towns' kind of soft rhetoric, I seen him in his I'm not really here to play no games with you and be bad. You know what I mean? I think I even saw him get kicked out for being too
They
physical, too crazy, right?
they had a wrestling match,
They had a little wrestling match. It was everybody was like bad boy esque.
and like Queen pointed out to me when I told her about the Embiid thing is she said Embiid kills everybody, and then once she said that, it's like, all right, well, what do you say now? Like, so it's not town specific. Basically, he's out there dominating everybody. So
At least when you play him though, if Embiid gets 40, hopefully Towns gets used 25. And it's not like 40 and 8.
yeah, I mean the night Embiid had 70, Cat had 62.
I,
It was in a loss, but hey, 62 is 62.
they were in the game though. You know what I mean?
He said she's right. Absolutely, she is. Like, what can you say? B kills everybody.
And and not for nothing, the more and more I assessed the rest of the league, and the more I assessed specifically Boston, the more I was like, even though we need to get better at center, I'm not ready to jump off the ledge right now because there's only 3 or 4 teams that have centers that quote unquote concern me, and Boston has only Al Horford. I'm like, all right, well, we match up great against Boston. If we have pressures in the starting lineup against with Horford, with the rest of their four versus Knicks four, I'm like, all right, yeah, we match up good. So I was kind of willing to be cool with improving the center position until the trade deadline.
No doubt, no
But I
doubt.
but I, but I, I'm not mad where we at right now though.
All right, I'm gonna bring this guy in here.
I,
He's
I,
the
I'm almost ready to pull my card out for tickets for game one right now, Tony. I'm
really
almost ready to pull a card out.
wait in Boston or home opener.
Both.
I was thinking about going to Boston. I don't know if I could do it just yet. But let me bring this guy in here. I ain't see this man. I don't even know. Sometime in the playoffs, maybe might have been the last time I seen this guy. But
And the way
I oh,
the Mets is moving right now, I'm surprised he got any availability the way the Mets is moving right now.
one game away from making the playoffs.
They already did. They clinched
Oh,
already.
the Twins? All right.
Yeah.
Shout out to them. But this man who needs no introduction, but I'm gonna introduce him anyway. Uncle Fulio, Big Josh. What's going on, my brother?
Salute.
AKA Mr. Controversy.
How can I forget? How can I forget?
No controversy. No controversy for me right now today. Especially talk about this Towns trade. Like, it's no controversy for me. I actually like it. At first I didn't, but I do now. I do now. Now that I had time to actually go back and actually look it over and look at everything, I have no controversy, nothing to say as far as negative. Well, yes, to Tony, I do have something negative to say, but I don't consider it a negative at all. But salute to the Knicks and Bruises family, Tony, Shuttle, good to see y'all again. Before I go into my feelings about the trade, I would be remiss to talk about, we lost two giants in sports today. Dikembe Mutombo, legend, not just on the floor, but what he's done for the game. That finger wag, extremely legendary. So rest in peace to him. And then also Pete Rose from whoever watches baseball, MLB all-time hits leader. We lost him as well. It's a travesty that he's not in the Hall of Fame. But rest in peace to both of those legends, because they've done amazing things for their respective sports.
Yo,
All right.
listen, I gotta say, Josh, I just want to just piggyback on that. Pete Rose. I mean, I play baseball. I was a pretty elite ball player, and P Rose, his whole Mr. Hustle style, like I embraced that. I embraced that tremendously. So I did definitely just want to just piggyback. I didn't know that he passed. I've been so busy today. I haven't really been super connected.
Just now
So
happened not too long ago. Like really, I just got the notification like 5 minutes before I came on here. So
okay.
crazy, crazy. It's crazy, like how life works and everything like that. But it's crazy, and it's a travesty that he's not in the Hall of Fame because he was a great player on the field. But now gambling's legal, right? Now it's legal in most states, and it's a big business thing. So I just feel like it is
Un-
a travesty that he's not in the Hall of Fame.
Unfortunately, he rest in peace. He passed, so he won't be alive to see it. But I do think he will end up in the Hall of Fame, and it will be amended. But like I said, fortunately, he's not gonna be here to see it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what the plan was. If I had to guess, I think that probably was the plan. Wait till he passed away, and it's unfortunate that even that's the case. But anyway, just rest in peace to those giants of their respective sports in the sports world. Um, Now to the cat trade. First thing I want to say is I've always known that Julius Randle was going to get traded. It's not a surprise to me that he got traded at all whatsoever. Okay. And I find it very funny that a lot of Knicks fans in the fan base is now up in arms about him getting traded when half of them or majority of them was ready to kick this guy out of town 2 seasons ago or what have you, based on the incident and the thumbs down and everything like that, him not whatever. But it's just kind of funny to me that that's the case. The reason why I felt that he was going to get traded was because I didn't believe the Knicks were in a position and they felt like they were going to give him a max contract. That's what it comes down to for me, right? Not dissing him as a player. He's a great player. He's an all NBA player, right? He's one of the best players in the league, particularly at his position. But I just didn't feel like the Knicks were in a position to give him a max contract. So that's why I thought he was going to be traded. Karl Anthony Towns. Well, also losing DiVincenzo, right, is the concern that I have. The Knicks right now do not have someone on the floor that is a volume catch and shoot player. Dante DiVincenzo was a volume catch and shoot player. So that is a concern for me, losing him, because I don't see statistically what the Knicks can be able to make up for that as of right now, right? Karl Anthony Towns, great move. We got an offensive guy finally. I know we had many podcasts before talking about Karl Anthony Towns or centers that are able to do something offensively, right? I think that's where the Knicks were going with that trade. And I think we've solved that issue at this point. But I love the trade, and it works from a financial standpoint and from a basketball standpoint. I love it. So yeah, no controversy from me.
Just to move backwards, because like I said, I haven't spoken to you since the playoffs. So
On camera,
before
on camera.
on camera,
Yeah.
Before we got Cat, we got Bridges. What was your thoughts there when that went down?
I had no problem with that at all. I thought, it was surprising the fact that the Knicks and Nets, first of all, made a trade, like, because that hasn't happened since what was it, '86 or whatever that was. So that was surprising there. But again, no problem. I thought it was a savvy move by the front office. And all this talk about these picks, Knicks fans who are talking about picks and all that stuff, that's when the Knicks are bad, right? That's what that's about. But holding on to picks and when you're competing, when you're trying to win a championship, does not make any sense to me at all, whatsoever. Um, because if you're winning and you're in the playoffs and you're constantly becoming a 1 through a 3 or 1 through a 4 seed, those picks are not going to convey that high anyway, right? I had no problem with the trade. I loved it. That's what they felt like they had to do to get the trade done, and they did it. And now you add a guy on the wing, him and OG Anunoby. I mean, it's scary defensively, and I think that the Knicks right now are matching up to compete with Boston right now. Additionally, now that the Cat trade has been made, this is the time for Bridges to turn up. He can turn. He has the opportunity right now to become a superstar in the league. He has that opportunity right now. I'm talking like give the ball to Bridges, get the hell out the way. That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm When I'm talking about. He has that opportunity right now. So let's see if he can do it.
All right. That might have been the most controversial part of anything you said today so far.
I don't think it's controversial though. I think that actually should be the transition of the team. Like Randall was essentially was the point forward, and I think now Bridges moves into the role as the point forward and could be the pseudo table setter when Brunson and Towns are not in the pick and roll. Like you said, clear it out. Look for OG in the corner. Look for Towns on the side. When Brunson takes a break, definitely you want to have Bridges on the court, so you don't have to have the ball in Deuce's hands exclusively or Campaign or even Tyler Kolek, and let the offense run through Bridges.
Yeah, and that to me, I think is most important for this team in order to be successful. That right there. If Bridges takes that next step to do that, we've seen him in that half a season when he first got traded to Brooklyn. I think he was averaging like 26 or something like that. Yeah.
Yep.
And Brooklyn didn't have anybody. He was the guy, so he had to get those. I felt like having Julius Randle with Bridges would kind of limit him in that regard. It would still be kind of like catch and shoot, or not catch and shoot, but the 3-and-D kind of player.
It would have put him like where he was on the Suns. You got Paul with the ball, you got Booker with the ball.
Exactly.
You got Aiden. It's like, all right, well, Bridges, you're kind of like low on the totem pole. You get yours whenever you get yours. Instead of now, when you already got camaraderie with Bridges and Brunson, I don't think there won't be any ego to say, nah, go ahead, yo, Bridge, take it, Bridge. You know what I mean? And
exactly.
And I just think he should really embrace the Scottie Pippen role. And
yes, that's a perfect example. That's a brilliant example of what he could become. I think that's brilliant. Brilliant.
I'm glad y'all finally got the clarification at the end, because I now I agree it's less controversial. But I was just saying that was the most controversial thing you said, because this is surprising. Josh usually come in here like, yo, we gotta do this, we gotta do that. Josh is like, we're doing it.
Oh yeah,
pardon me, we did
it. For me, listen, I like the way the front office is working, and I suppose I'll put it like this. I think sometimes when I give my takes and I talk about like what the Knicks are going to do or what I think they're going to do, a lot of people, particularly fans, the average fan, does not understand the financial and the cap implications, right? And I think a lot of times I lead with that, right? Because I think it's extremely important. I don't think the Knicks are neglecting that part of it. They make moves for the basketball side, but also the cap side as well. I don't think they would do one without the other. I think they coincide tremendously. And I think sometimes when I lead with that, people don't understand it, but it's controversial. But no, I see exactly what the Knicks are doing. I think the Knicks are a well-run organization right now. Adam Silver said it recently, that the Knicks are an organization that you have to respect, right? The next step for the Knicks now, you got to go win. You got to win. You got to win a title. You have to go win a title. I think that is what is going to fully set the Knicks as far as a respectable organization in the long term. If you don't win, you can compete. The whole '90s thing where we're in the last 4 remaining or last 2 remaining, something like that. It's cool, right? They were a respectable organization then, but the Knicks need to win a championship, and I want fans to start talking about that. You know what I mean? Instead of like you, Tony, for example. Oh, Ronaldo Balkman's a good player. We need credit for getting Ronaldo Balkman. Like that.
Hey, if you're gonna do it though, use a name that I've referenced.
No. Okay, that's hyperbole. That's hyperbole. But like you wanted the Knicks to get credit from the media when they were bad. They were a bad team.
No. I wanted them to get credit for improving, not when they were bad. Not when they were bad. I wanted them to get credit because they were no longer bad. And not being looked at as who they were, because that's what the media was doing pre-Brunson. I'll say, and even in the direct when we first got Brunson, it was still that was laughed at, frowned upon. So that's what I was.
But that was by the fan base as well. That didn't come out of nowhere, Tony. A lot of people were against fans were against the Brunson move. But I'm specifically referencing when the Knicks were winning 20 to 30 games a year and they were a bad team. That's what I was talking about to you.
Yeah, but what's the name of my channel?
Knicks and Bruises.
You know why I got that name? Because I knew how bad we was. So
okay.
So
did the media. So did the media.
My defense was as we ascended. Remember this. We've been a ascending organization at the very least, if you will, once Leon Rose and Thibodeau got here.
Right.
From that point on, it's been ascension.
Yeah, from that point, I'm talking about before that though. That's what I was talking about when I.
But before that, it was Knicks and Bruises era. I knew how bad we was. Okay. That's all I'm saying.
So I guess my point was the whole thing with the media and criticizing the media. That's where I was talking about before Leon Rose came. Remember, first thing I said today, the Knicks are a great run organization, the management. But before Leon Rose and them came, and you had Steve Mills and that revolving door of coaches and that revolving door of management, that's what I was talking about. And you said that you feel like the media should give us credit because, quote unquote, they were improving. But the improvement was minuscule to me because you're not like you want the media to give the Knicks credit because they won a game when they lose 20 games a year.
I wasn't 20 games a year. I think your timeline is a little off. Let me shout out everything Knicks for the super chat. He says Mikel is Baby Durant when developed. Hot take. So it is a hot take. Don't kill him. But baby Durant. I mean, hey, we had Baby Joker, and people killed that take when it first came out, and by the end of it, you know what I mean, it was utilized. So I ain't gonna say nothing about that. I hope it's true. I hope he can be, but I just want.
How reminded we had Baby Jordan. Whoa.
I'm glad that this super chat came because ultimately, you know what I mean. Like, forget about the whole Tony thing. Like, ultimately, the Knicks right now in the organization not only are run great, but it's how they're doing it, right? Tony talks all the time about being savvy. We got people in the building that are winners. Winning players that at whatever level, Brunson, all the Nova guys that have won national championships, got them. Tom Thibodeau as not the head coach, but he won a championship with Boston as a defensive guy. And quiet as kept, no one's talking about this. Mo Cheeks as the second in line of Tom Thibodeau. Losing Johnny Bryant, got that. Mo Cheeks is a championship Hall of Fame player. And he's a really good coach as well. Maybe not have the success or like the stuff to like really hang his hat on in that regard, but he is a winner. The Knicks have winning people in the building. And I feel like people are not talking about that enough. So that's where all that came from, Tony, like as far as why I brought the old stuff up or whatever. Like,
I know, but I just think your timeline is a little bit off because my defense of the Knicks organization really started with Leon Rose, with Tom Thibodeau. Maybe you can go the actually you can't even go before that. You Julius Randle's first year. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't you know what I mean, saying we on our way to a chip or we got so much better then. It really started with it really started with Leon Rose coming here. And even then Tibbs wasn't my first choice. It was Kenny Atkinson. You know what I mean? It was about the slow build and to my surprise, I thought Tibbs was like a win now. You got to have the right pieces. He was winning without the right pieces, and then they were bringing the right pieces along as we went.
We agree. We agree on that part. We agree on that's when it started. That's when the management bringing Leon Rose in. We agree on that 100%. The conversation.
Think about the whole. Think about one more thing, but just think because you just referenced it, me calling the front office savvy. You and I bumped heads on that at that initial moment. Yes.
No.
Yes.
No. I agree that they're savvy. I mean, there's some things I wish they would have done differently. We didn't bump heads on that per se. What I'm referencing, the specific thing that I'm referencing in regards to what we were talking about was when we had the whole conversation about the media, right? About the media and how the media covers the Knicks. That's specifically what we're talking about. And the examples that you gave, we're talking about before Leon Rose and them came. He was already here, right? But there's a lot of strife from Knicks fans, including yourself, talking about the media and the media manufacturing things and making up things. Now, I think that exists in the media world, but when the Knicks were bad, they were bad. And there was nothing wrong with the media calling the Knicks bad, right? You know
So
what I'm saying? The Stephen A.
you know
Smith
what I
and all
think
that. Like, you know, and they went overboard with it. They did all that kind of stuff because they're trying to sell. They're trying to make money. But the Knicks were a bad team. You know what I mean? Like, you're the laughing stock. You cannot, I feel like fans should not be mad at the media for just calling it what it is. That's what I'm trying to say.
And then even when you do start to come out of the purgatory, you still got to get smacked around a little bit.
It's the grace period.
Yeah, you still got to get smacked around with it, even if it's, you know, you coming out of it because you've been bad for so long. So yeah, all right, now you had 30 wins, 35 wins, 40 wins. All right, you made the playoffs, but you know you've been awful for 12 years, so we gonna still catch the smoke. You gotta prove it a little longer before we gonna give you your flowers.
Exactly.
Let me shout out Parrish Duggar. Appreciate the super chat. He says we are one surprise player to step up or find a way, and I'm away from a championship. I'm assuming. So he thinks we need one more guy to step up and surprise us to kind of to get there.
That's my guy. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, I ended my show earlier on changes being made to the roster. Is there a new dark horse? Because one of the previous shows we talked about dark horses on this roster. So outside of what I said, outside of our top 7, is there a dark horse? Or I won't even say top 7. Outside of our starters, presumed starters. Josh, I think you're going with Precious as your dark horse. No. Who's your dark horse on this team?
It's very difficult to say right now because I feel like the opportunity is there for anyone, right? Like last year was Miles McBride, right? Came out of nowhere, did his thing. I know Steph. Salute to her. Salute to Dope Soul. She's not very optimistic about rookies and younger players and stuff like that. But I feel like there's on a winning team, there's always somebody that steps up. And last year it was Deuce, right? I think I'm gonna go with Daddy A. I'm gonna go with Pacome. I'm gonna go with the rookie. I think he is gonna be the dark horse. If I had to predict, right? If I had to bet money on, I would say
that's a hot take. I gotta ask you why are you choosing him?
Okay, so this is going to be controversial. I don't trust OG Anunoby's health. I don't trust it. I don't trust it whatsoever. I think there's going to be opportunities for this kid to get on the floor and play impactful minutes in important games at that position. That's why.
Super agreed with that. And when I saw the trade that Dante was included, I was like, oh, Pacome is about to start getting some minutes. Pacome is about to literally be in the rotation. Even when OG plays, he's going to be in the rotation because I think he's going to be like, OG's going to be, even if he's healthy, he's going to be giving Kawhi Leonard white glove treatment with minutes and games off and all that kind of stuff. So by default, Pacome is going to get minutes that you were not expecting him to get. And even after this trade, it'll kind of be an afterthought for people because you got all the main players. You got Brunson, you got Bridges, you got Towns, you got OG. So there's so much going on. You already got Deuce, you got Josh Hart. So you already got your big 7 that everybody's so focused on that Pacome is going to be overlooked. So I think that's definitely a great dark horse.
As far as a dark horse, yeah, I agree with that. And the Knicks went from a team that did not have any wings to a team that is loaded with wings. They are loaded with wing players. I think they look at Deuce McBride as a wing player more than an actual guard, like a point guard. I think they look at him that way. They are loaded in that regard, and I love it. But yeah, I would say Pacome, Tony.
Wow.
I would go
And you're agreeing with his take, or you're agreeing that's your dark horse as well, Shuttle?
Both. Yeah.
no.
I agree with Shuttle
I'm
100%.
not. I'm agreeing with his take, right? And I definitely saw myself the opportunity for Pacome to to get busy long before you ask this question. As soon as I saw the trade go down, but the player that I'm hoping is the dark horse though is Precious. I've seen some mock starting lineups, and it seems like the majority have Josh Hart in the starting lineup, which I could kind of understand why you might do it, especially if it were the playoffs. But to start the season, no, please start Precious. Please start Precious. Bring Hart off the bench
And Cat at the 4.
and
Five,
cat call it
four,
whatever
four, five.
call it
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. We're in
Gotcha.
positionless basketball. Whatever's going to cater to his ego. Okay, play the matchup that we feel like is the best matchup for you when you're on defense, and having four super offensively skilled players. Even though OG's good on defense, Bridges is good on defense, but to have those level of skilled players, I think having somebody like Precious is a great compliment to the rest of that lineup. And I like the idea of having Hart as being flexible to come in. He can come in for OG if he's injured or he's hurt or if he's having a bad game. Same thing for
The wild
Bridges.
card, the Joker.
Yeah, he's better off the bench coming in a flexible capacity versus being in the starting lineup if I'm coaching this team.
Right.
You understand? Now, if we get to the playoffs and we get to a do or die situation and we know he's capable of playing 40, 45 minutes, then, we'll deal with that when we get to the third Eastern Conference Finals or the finals. But to start off the season, I don't want to wear him out with those kind of minutes. And, let me get my flexibility and give everybody a chance. Give Precious a chance, in that role. So I'm hoping that Precious is the dark horse. And I don't see why he can't score 10 points and get 10 rebounds.
You actually brought up or answered one of my questions going forward, and that was going to be the starting lineup. So I just want to say, one, I agree that I would like Hart to come off the bench rather than start, just because of his change of pace and the you want to have something solidified coming off that bench, right? As far as just playing arguably your best five, and then working with your second unit as you know as smaller pieces. I like the fact that he could impact the game coming off the bench and solidify that 6-man role, things of that nature. But then I was torn between who do I think should start. Because I remember I texted you, Josh. We was texting like 4 something in the morning. Or I'm like, who do you think should start? Is it Hart, Precious, or Deuce? Because I do like the fact, number one, when Deuce played alongside Brunson, he was very good. You know what I mean? The Knicks were very good.
Off ball player. Yeah.
Yep. Right. And it kind of still cements us defensively with Deuce in that starting lineup. I think Deuce is the least likely for Tibbs to start the season. So I do think it's gonna be either Precious or Hart. And if I had to guess who Tibbs is picking, I would guess Hart. So yeah, I think Tibbs is gonna start Hart. I would want Hart off the bench. I wouldn't be mad with Precious. I wouldn't be mad with Deuce. And then as far as your pick, as with the dark horse with Daddy, the path for him is longer to get there for me. I think if we don't end up bringing Mook Morris back, you know what I mean? Maybe
he's already gone. They got rid of him. They had to cut him.
Yeah, they waived him, but they have the opportunity to bring him back in a couple of days or whatever the case. Once the dust settles, they could potentially bring him back. So, but him being gone, I think that did open up a little bit of a path for Dadier to get some minutes. So I could see him maybe getting a shot somewhere down the line. But I would think my true choice is Kolick. Earlier, I picked someone else because I was trying to, not everybody have the same pick.
Right.
But I think Kolick, there's a path for him to potentially beat out Payne and get 15 minutes behind Brunson, 10 minutes, whatever it is behind Brunson, and then they seem to be extremely high on him. They said reports earlier in the offseason was he's the backup, before a summer league game or anything, and I think he played well in summer league. I like his style of play. He's a true facilitator, you know what I mean, and a good shooter. So I think he could potentially beat out Payne. So he's my true dark horse. I know earlier, if anybody watched the show earlier, I said Payne, but that's because somebody else picked Kolick. So I'm trying to, switch it up a little bit. But
Tony,
I think. Go ahead.
Can I say something? I think that's the beauty of this conversation. The Knicks are extremely versatile in everything that they have in as far as a roster. Tibbs can go any direction. He may start it off with one way and then adjust. That is the beauty of this conversation. And that's what I think. The options are limitless, right? And I told you last night, Tony, or whenever we spoke, there's only two players on this roster that are true whatever at their position. That's Mitchell Robinson and Jalen Brunson. Everybody else
switchable.
Yeah. Oh, you can put them at the 2. You can put them at the 3. On defense, they can play the 2 or the 3 or the 1. And on offense, they can play something else. It's so versatile, right? Shuttle, I disagree with you as far as Precious. I don't think Precious is going to be a starter because I think it defeats the purpose of bringing in Karl-Anthony Towns. I think it defeats the purpose. I think he does have the ability to probably get his 10 points a game, that type of thing. But Karl-Anthony Towns is a difference maker at the 5. I think that's why you go out and get him. That's the reason, right?
But I think that Precious is really a power forward, not a center. He was playing out of position, being played at center. He's only 6'8".
Okay. Offensively, let's talk about off the offensive side of the ball specifically, right? What's his game offensively?
Rebound.
You said Precious?
Offensive rebound. Offensive rebound.
That's what I'm saying. But as far as now defensively, he's a liability is what I'm trying to say.
I get it.
He's not in the Mitchell Robinson type of liability because I think he can do a little bit more, but he's not. You know what I mean? It kind of defeats the purpose. So I see Karl-Anthony Towns being a 5 because I think that's what makes the trade work.
I'm agreeing with that. I'm agreeing with that.
You know
That he is the 5. I'm saying that Precious is the power forward, and I don't want to. What I feel like, right, to kind of take this to the rest of the team in the starting lineup, I feel like that why I don't want Deuce to start and why I don't want Hart to start is because I feel like the advantage the Knicks have with the wing stop is that when you have Bridges at the shooting guard and OG at the small forward, their switchability on the shooting guards and the small forwards, even on the point guards, if and when they need to, and even onto a power forward, if and when they had to.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
I feel like having them at that position is why Deuce can't start because you lose what you get with the height and the wing stop capability.
From a defensive perspective, is what you're saying.
From a defensive, well, this I gotta try to think like Tibbs is thinking, hanging his hat on defense more than offense. Okay. So that's why I'm like, all right. So Deuce absolutely can't start, right? So then it's like, all right, well, if you play Hart, even though Hart does get rebounds and he hustles, he's 6'4". Those like, all right, if they got to switch and Towns is the only big out there, like I don't want to. I just don't want to waste OG playing on power forwards a whole lot. We already
why not? Why not though?
Because
I think he can do that at a very effective level.
I think he can too, but you also don't want to burden. Like he's another guy that has a history of knickknacks and ticky-tack injuries.
I see where you guys are going with this. Him playing the 4 is not going to make him more susceptible to injury. It's not. I promise you that. If he's going to get hurt, he's going to get hurt whether he plays the 2, the 3.
He could, but I think at times I agree with Shuttle, and I don't know if that's what he was saying, but I want to ease some of the burden on him at times. That may come from that may come from the coach. Like that may come from sitting him on back to backs or other things that whatever they may do schematically to kind of
Okay,
take away
I
from the
suppose
wear and tear.
I suppose my question is, how is playing the four, be it or the three, much different as far as susceptibility to injury? That's my question.
Depend. I don't want to put it directly on injury. I like wear and tear or bumping and bruising.
Yeah.
Like you
Right.
know what I mean. Like so obviously it's more likely for you to be banging in the paint with a 4 or a 5 than you are with a 3.
Not in today's NBA. I think that is
I,
old school.
listen.
And it depends on the matchup as well. Yeah.
And that's what it does. That's what it does. It depends on the matchup. Here's the other thing though. Josh Hart could play the 4 too. It's not ideal either, but he can. You know what I mean? Before we got Cat and we were looking at the schematics of the team, there was people talking about, hey, we might see Josh Hart at the 5, which isn't unfathomable under Tibbs. And knowing Tibbs has said it. He said it last year. We could play him at the 5 if we have to. You know what I mean? I don't think he was joking.
OG Anunoby though. OG Anunoby is a definite hybrid.
No, I'm not saying who's better. I'm not saying who's better at it or who's. I'm just saying we have these options. So ultimately, I hope that and you know we're gonna get into the training camp notes because I think one of my notes was about that with you know Tibbs talking about he likes Bridges on ball defensively, and he likes the disruptiveness of Hart and the disruptiveness of OG playing off ball, being the guys that switch, can guard up, can guard down. So it's there, but I think it's about really picking the spots. Also, they spoke about one guy not being, let's say it's Tatum or Brown, whatever, but not having that OG on Tatum the whole night, not having Mikal on Brown the whole night, and being able to give teams different looks throughout the night, which is gonna make it harder for them to figure out the you know, if you got one guy guarding you all night, chances are by the end of the night you're gonna figure out some things. You know what I mean? So you switch it up. That's all we're saying.
I just think also, you know, when you have the high-powered ability of Brunson, Bridges, OG, and Towns in your starting lineup, and you don't really have a high-powered bench, I just like the idea of having Hart coming off the bench with something strong off the bench, because I just don't see Precious having like the impact off the bench that you would want somebody to infuse, you know, impact. He's kind of like you know, I'm a fit in kind of guy more so than an impact guy per se, which is why I just think having him fitting in with the starting lineup, it just kind of fits better to the overall scheme of the team, and having Deuce and Hart to make their impact off the bench, it keeps a good balance. I mean, normally I'm all for putting your best 5 in the starting lineup, you know, and again, I think that when we get down to the end of the season, we get to playoffs, you know, then you know you adjust accordingly at that point. But yeah, man, you know, let's you know, Tibbs, let's put pressures in that starting lineup, my guy.
Yeah, I think that'll be adjustable throughout the entire time during the season. I think there's so many things that can happen, you know, injuries or whatever, you know, you can't predict them, but they're going to happen. Just, you know, whoever, right? I think saying Josh Hart playing the 4 or the 5, I think that's much more of a wild type of experimental thing than OG playing the 4. I think that's not the same. I think it's apples and oranges.
No. I was just saying that Tibbs has referenced that. Like he's not afraid to do that. I'm not advocating for it at all.
No, I know that. I'm just talking about the comparison between OG playing the 4. I think he's more naturally suited to play a 4 or 3 or whatever. I think he can do that without it being that crazy of an experimental thing. As compared to Josh Hart playing the 4. I think that's.
I agree
You know what
with
I'm
you
saying?
as well. I think he's also more suited playing the five if need be. You know
Right.
what I mean?
And it wouldn't be
But
as crazy
yeah,
instead of
yeah,
like Josh
no,
Hart. You know what
no,
I mean?
I agree 100%.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But in the same token, I wouldn't want him playing the five, like if at full time or even you know what I mean. A lot of the times in a switch, in a pinch, absolutely, I think he could thrive in that. I honestly agree with Tibbs in the fact that I like it. I like OG better off ball defender. Not, and this is not because he's a bad on ball defender, but I like him better where he's able to roam and be a help defender.
Passing lanes, all of that.
Exactly. That's where I think he really thrives.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, but he's great on ball. But if you could utilize him as not the primary defender and as that
Even better. Even better.
woo, you know what I mean? And that's my
Defensively, I have no concerns about this team. No matter what lineup they put out there on the floor, I have no concerns. I think defensively, we're fine. We are good defensively. I'm telling you, we are good. Cat, like not being a rim protector. I know none of you referenced that, but like little things people are talking about defensively, the Knicks are good defensively. Offensively is what I'm, and I think that's why they made the Cat trade. I think it was more about offense than it was defense. Offensively, you know what I'm saying? So, but defensively, we good. No matter what lineup he put out there, we good. We ain't gotta worry about it. So,
I got another super chat. Appreciate. Make it make sense. He says, I'll arrive with my next arrival roadside or road ride with Tony, with Josh, and that's my DJ. We outside. Let's get it. Appreciate you.
Make
And
it make sense.
I meant to highlight it earlier where you said that's my DJ. So I'm glad you included that in there now.
Make it make sense.
make it make
Now, if
sense.
they saying that's my DJ, I'm kind of getting the sense I might know who that is. Do you know who that is, Tone?
No,
Okay.
I'm bad. I'm bad with names, but it's love. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
always.
My guy Spree in the chat. Appreciate you, my brother. Long time. I know you looking forward to the season. I'm looking forward to the season. Can't wait for you to call in on the on the Nothing But Nick show. You know what I mean? After a great win post game. Appreciate you. Let me see what else I got in his notes. I don't usually take notes, and when I do, I usually lose them. I lost these earlier, but I found it. So let me see what else.
That's
I
crazy.
wrote Cat sacrifice to win last year, and I don't know why I wrote that. I don't know what maybe referenced that, but it might have just been something I was worried about.
Well,
You
I
know,
think
him fitting in.
I think that he did. I think that he was more the focal point of the team earlier on in his career, and I think Anthony Edwards' ascension, especially by the end of the season, it was very clear who the man on this team was, and who the go-to guy was. Who when it was the end of the game and you needed a bucket, it pretty much was running through Anthony Edwards, and Cat wasn't really in a position to be like, "Yo, why is the ball not going through me?" And his points went down a little bit, but but I think he was still like what 23-8, 23-9. You know what I mean? Something like that. So I mean, I'll take it. I'll take it, man. He ain't gonna have no choice other than to fall in line on this team with Brunson and Bridges. So you know,
And maybe that was it. Like to your point, going from the number one guy to another guy ascending into that position. And to be honest, because I've been, like I said, I be frequenting other teams' channels, shows. So one of the Minnesota podcasts, they reference this
They actually got one.
they do. They do. I
Okay.
mean, when you get a guy like Edwards, guess
They
what?
start coming out of the woodwork. Yeah.
People want to start talking about him.
Right.
But they referenced his true ascension coming in the last 20 games when Cat was out. You know what I mean? And you know Cat coming back for the playoffs and kind of just falling in line. So You know what I mean? That goes to show coming here, recognizing Brunson's the guy. What I like about Cat though is and I said this earlier, he's a off ball volume scorer. You know what I mean?
That's really important. You said that. Yes, yes, yeah.
Like so
Sure.
he can thrive alongside of Brunson a lot easier than
Randall,
somebody.
then Randall. No. And but Randall wasn't bad at it. But I
I
know what you're
agree.
saying. Yeah,
Yes.
yes.
And,
I don't want to throw those shots.
you
Right.
know, I was kind of holding off because you were making several points, Mr. Fulio. But when you were talking about losing Devo as this big catch and shoot guy, I think with hopefully with a good training camp and a good preseason and having the opportunity to work together from the beginning, I think we'll see if we do what you and I both suggested, which is kind of get the ball in Bridges' hands a little bit more, caught kind of sort of in the Randall position. That should help free up OG for catch and shoot corner shots, which we saw him excel at. We have seen Cat excel on the pick and roll catch and shoots from three. So I don't think that there may necessarily be one player that kind of cuts and pastes Devo's catch and shoot, but I think the combination of OG's catch and shoot, Cat's catch and shoot specifically on pick and rolls, and to some degree even Brunson's catch and shoot with Bridges running the offense a little bit. So I think collectively the catch and shoot, will be able to address what was lost with just
That,
Devo himself.
that's what's going to need to happen, and I think me and Tony were talking about that, right? I think that's what needs to happen. But let me just this is my way of thinking, right? And I'm talking about last year specifically. Last year, Dante DiVincenzo was second in the NBA, the entire league, in catch and shoot attempts. But the Knicks as a team were low, middle of the pack, kind of like 20th in the NBA as far as catch and shoot attempts, just attempts, right? That was where my concern lied.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and that's why this is the importance of Bridges. If Bridges takes that step to become like a Devin Booker, the Knicks won't need it. They can score in other ways. They won't need to shoot as many attempts or whatever. So I'm not saying the Knicks have to shoot more catch and shoot. They don't have to, but it's a concern. And I think what you said is very important. Bridges taking that next step, adding that to the offense. Because if he can do that, it's over for the league. It's a wrap. It's over. I'm telling you. Because defensively, I ain't got to worry about it. Like I said, I'm not worried about the Knicks defensively. Offensively, I think that's what the whole Cat thing is about and everything like that. But yes, Bridges. That's the key right there, what you said. So let's see.
All right, we kind of touched on this, but Tip said he has an idea of the starting lineup, but he wants to wait and see training camp. We talked about who we want to start or who we would start. My question is, who do you think when Tip says he has an idea of who he wants to start? Who do you think he's referencing? Do you think it's like from Tibbs' idea? Who do you think he's referencing when he says, "I have an idea"?
I don't want to go first.
And do you believe he's gonna let training camp be the deciding factor, or do you think he's whoever his idea is starting is gonna start? I'll go first. I think his idea is to start Josh Hart. You know what I mean? Obviously, with and like we spoke of. So I think that's the idea of the direction he wants to go. I'm not gonna say he's lying, but I don't think training camp is gonna change his mind. So I don't know if our preference is us by saying keeping Tibbs at his word. I'm gonna say nobody beats out Josh Hart for that starting spot. But yeah, anybody think differently on who?
Go ahead, Sheldon. You got it.
Josh Hart.
Landry Shamet. Seriously, I'm not joking. Landry Shamet. I think he is more of the DiVincenzo prototype. He is more of the DiVincenzo catch and shoot type of prototype.
So you're saying this is the idea that Tibbs has
right now? I think that's game. What he said. I don't think he has any idea right now. I think that's game. I
Okay.
think it's going. If I had to predict what it's going to be, I would say Landry Shamet because he fits exactly that DiVincenzo prototype, the catch and shoot. What I was talking about. I think he'll start off with that. Now, what happens after that will evolve, but I would say that to start. And
Queen.
Shamet's been a starter in the NBA before, so
That was Queen's hot take. So you're not alone in that thinking. I brought it up. I didn't mention it. Shout out to Rome Farakare. He says there will be a lot of losers lashes this year. Uh, over 50, over 50. You know what I mean? Shout out to Sim, my guy. We got to work out a schedule and figure out how we gonna do him with his new job and me opening a lot more. But we gonna figure it out. We gonna bring you guys this losers lounge. Another one make it make sense says talking to my phone part and self.
make it make sense.
and another super chat for making appreciate you with all this love. He says the Knicks. I'm with the Knicks, Leon Rose, Tony, Josh, and that's my DJ. We outside.
We outside.
Uh, we glad you with us, bro. Appreciate it for sure. Shuttle, did you go?
I did, but Shamit, you know, you know what? After actually, this is the Josh Folio setup. See what he did? He set us up by telling us how, yeah, well, OG could play the four, OG could play the four, OG could play the four. So that was all set up so he could say, well, Landry was going to be the starting shooting guard. You know what I mean? That was a two-piece move he just did right there. You know what I'm saying? Like I see
game
your
recognized
moves.
game. Game
I
recognized
see your
game.
moves, Josh. I see your moves, Josh. I see your moves out there, player. I just got to say to that, like I already said, I don't want OG starting at the power position. I don't care how much he told me 2 through 4 is the same. I don't care how much it's natural for him to do it. I need him and Bridges at the 2 and the 3 the majority of their minutes on the court. I think it gives the best defense. Like I just feel like there's an opportunity to have incredible defense on this team with them two, if played at the right positions. And I think that
You're gonna
having
get that regardless, though, Shuttle. That's what I'm saying.
I
Regardless, you're gonna get that.
it's not the same when you got Landry Shamet who could, like like in the words of my basketball coach in high school, that guy couldn't make the Pee Wee League All Stars, and that guy scoring on you. What are you doing? Like,
Okay.
but between Brunson and Shamet, the defense is too weak. The defense is too weak, and I'm not. I don't care how much he could replace Devo. I'd rather the team collectively Brunson catch and shoot a little bit with Bridges facilitating, OG catch and shoot a little bit with Bridges facilitating, Cat catch and shoot with Brunson in the pick and roll. We're gonna facilitate the catch and shoots collectively. We don't need Landry Shamet to come in to be the Devo replacement.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
I think you focus on it from a defensive perspective, and I focus at it from an offensive perspective. I think that's what the difference is here. I think
From an offensive perspective, I don't need a Devo replacement wrapped up in one player. I feel confident that the collective of the players that are on the court will be able to will be able to catch and shoot and have a history of being efficient field goal shooters.
Okay, hold on. So efficiency, the Knicks are going to be efficient. Last
Yeah,
year, the Knicks were top 10 as far as
And
efficiency.
efficient from three.
Yeah,
and
no, his concern.
And
This is
efficient on catch and shoot.
this is where
agree with you
me and
100%.
Josh. This is where me and Josh bumped heads in the little text thread because that was my statement. I thought collectively we can make up for the DiVincenzo. But go ahead, Josh. Go ahead, because I know where you're gonna go. So go ahead and retort.
Yeah. So from an efficiency standpoint, I have no qualms there. The Knicks were efficient last year, even though they were 20th in volume. The attempts, right? They were 20th in volume, but as far as efficiency, they were top 10 from threes. No concerns there from me. Even if the Knicks, let's say they don't replace that. Let's say worst case scenario, they don't replace the catch and shoot volume from one player that DiVincenzo gave us. We can score in other ways. It's not really that big of a thing for me. I'm not really that concerned because the offense will have to change a bit. I think that's kind of where my concern is a bit. But when I say concern, the Knicks will be fine. I'm not like they will be fine offensively no matter what they decide to do. So catch and shoot is not really something that I'm supremely harping on, but it's a concern for me. Like something has to give. Like you said, Bridges. That's a question mark. Will he be able to take that next step? If not him, will we be able to replace the scoring or the 3-point shooting and catch and shoot with other people on the team? DiVincenzo was a volume catch and shoot guy. We have no other prototype on this team except for Shaman that can do that. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I'm coming from with it. We can score in other ways, even if the catch and shoot is not there. Last year is a great example. We were 20th in the league in catch and shoot last year attempts, and we scored a lot. So
if Shaman is starting, I'm not going to be excited.
Okay, I got you. I got it from a defensive perspective. I understand. I get
from
it.
From a whole perspective, from any perspective, from every perspective.
Listen,
you calling the man trash. You calling him trash.
I actually think he's good, and he needs to be good off the bench.
You like him better as a 3-point specialist off the bench.
Yo, listen.
Rather
we got 15 minutes for you off the bench. Play well when we call your number. I don't need you in the starting lineup.
Okay. I got two more. Maybe 3 more. Notes from the media day. So someone asked Tibbs. Shout out to Ala Wise. He said, "Uncle Mother effing Fulio." Yeah, I brought him out.
Peace Almighty. Peace Almighty. We in the check-in.
Salute.
So Tibbs was asked about last year and how offensive rebound was a huge part of their identity, and you can't really hear the questions too clearly from MSG. So I'm I may be off in a little bit, but I know they asked him about offensive rebounds being a priority last year. The loss of Hartenstein. Obviously, they can't talk about Cat, but Mitch is down early in the year. How are you going to supplement that part, or is it going to be a change of philosophy? And this is one of the questions that I was thinking about, before media day, but before anybody asked Tibbs that. Just how much of an adjustment is Tibbs going to have to make? His response was interesting to me. He says offensive rebounds are a byproduct of us attacking the rim, which, obviously he's saying is not going to change. You attack the rim, you draw 2, somebody, that's where those offensive rebound opportunities come from. And I don't think this is him shitting on, Mitchell Robinson and saying that they are byproducts of the system, but he was saying the system is going to allow us to generate the offensive rebounds. Obviously, he talked about Precious in that spot, being able to offensive rebound well. Josh Hart coming out of nowhere, being able to rebound well. But I thought it was interesting that he didn't really seem any type of concern in having to adjust or change philosophies from last year, and basically saying the focus wasn't on the offensive rebounds. It was a byproduct of the true focus, which was attacking the rim and drawing 2 and creating those opportunities for the next guy to offensive rebound. What's your thoughts on that? I thought it was super interesting.
Well, I think when you have the players that are coming back to this team, Bridges is good at attacking, getting to the rim, pulling up mid ranges in the paint. So is Brunson. OG can get to the basket. Cat cuts to the basket. You know what I mean? Cat also is good for offensive rebound. So I just think that you have a higher skill level of players that can get to the hoop And I don't think the philosophy really changes. Get the ball, let the offense dictate what you do, as Tibbs always says. If you open, shoot it. If you can get to the basket, get to the basket. Like, he's been coaching the same way since the Bulls. It's not really anything. It's not really anything different.
And I think it was OG. If it wasn't OG, it was Macau, but I think it was OG. Um, who talked about basically that it's really about. I'm paraphrasing, but it's really about read and react in the game. Tibbs, the same Tibbisms that we hear every post game or pre game. Like the game is gonna dictate these things. I just thought it was interesting, but he said it should be easier with the players that we have.
I agree.
Right, Carl Anthony Towns specifically. Specifically, I know he couldn't talk about it. He was like, "Oh, next question," kind of deflected or whatever because the trade is not finalized. But that's what he's talking about. He's talking about that. And I think when it comes to offense, I gotta say this: when it comes to offense, I feel like it's the cliche you hear. Oh, just whatever they do, the dictates it. Yeah, you can say that for everything. But there's a specific reason why the Knicks went out to go get Carl Anthony Towns. It's to improve the offense, to space the floor and do stuff like that. Right? That's why they got him. As far as offensive rebounds are concerned, offensive rebounds or rebounds in general, but specifically offensive rebounds, that's a hustle play. A hustle play. Tibbs brings the best out of his players. He gets those players to work hard for him. That's how Julius Randle got hurt, OG Anunoby, because they play hard for this man. So no matter who we got, we'll be all right when it comes to that. I ain't worried about it because that's a hustle play. This team is going to hustle. They're going to play hard. So I'm not concerned about the offensive rebounds. But as far as the offense is concerned, yeah, it's read and react, all that. Nah, they got Karl Anthony Towns for a reason. That's that goes without saying.
And if something I was gonna reference that you just said, oh, you referenced us not being able to, or them not being able to talk about the cat trade because it's not finalized yet. The one guy
I think that's what it is. I don't
No, that's 100% what it is.
Okay.
That's 100%. Oh, and this is where I'm going because Josh Hart was the one guy that really referenced cat a bunch of times. Like he ain't give two fucks. To the point where you can see at by the middle of his interview, he keeps looking and checking and making sure he can actually say what he's about to say because somebody must have. They must have gave him the chill out face. So I just thought it was funny. Like Josh Hart, he a loose cannon on so many levels. You know what I mean? Like, oh, he's like I could say that, right? I'm not talking about him being here. I'm talking about him like playing against him in the past. I could say that, but I thought that was funny. This is my last one, and then I'll give you guys some final words, and we'll get up out of here. This is from Josh Hart. They talked about him, the addition of OG, or the re-signing of OG, the addition of Mikal, and what it's gonna mean defensively. And they talked about the switching aspect, and I found this super interesting. Basically, he's saying switching on defense is going to take a lot of communication from us because, and then he referenced himself basically, but it's going to be hard to make those decisions of when to fight over that screen, which he's used to doing, and I guess he referenced all of them. They're all used to taking on the role of defending that top guy on the other end. And in that, they know they got to fight over the screen. They can't let this guy get loose. So it's going to be an adjustment having two other good defenders with you and knowing or stopping himself from actually fighting over the screen as opposed to, letting the switch happen because you got this guy, right, these two guys behind you or ready to, go ahead and take that responsibility. And I just thought that was an interesting dynamic in adjusting mentally to not let your guy go, but you don't have to fight over every screen,
Right.
because and then mentally having to adjust to that. Like, all right, are we switching? But he said communication will solve all that. But I thought that was an interesting dynamic, and something I never thought of. Like, I automatically assume, all right, we got these defenders, everything's gonna be easier. No, you still gotta work through certain kinks and philosophies and things of that nature. Any thoughts on that? And anything you guys want to add before we jump up out of here?
That's what makes the Knicks so. I think the versatility. That's exactly what I mentioned earlier. Versatility. I think when you have that defensively, we're fine. I'm not tripping. No matter whoever plays at what position, I don't have no concerns about the Knicks defensively because of that dynamic that you just mentioned. And of course, the communication, all that stuff. You have to communicate. That's like everybody knows that. Like that goes without saying. But the versatility from the Knicks right now, based on the roster that they have, I think is tremendous, tremendous because they can play multiple positions defensively. Josh Hart or whoever we were talking about. So, yeah, I agree.
That's why I don't need Landry Shamet starting.
I knew that was coming. No, that's a solid point though. Defensively, it's like kind of like Fournier or something. Like it's a very good point. It's a very good point.
Yeah, and we see how that ended with no rotation minutes and doing whatever you got to do to get him out of here. Anybody, first shout out to the chat again. Anybody who didn't see the show earlier with Queen, and I had Jeff on there, first time on Knicks and Bruises. Jeff, who's a frequent reoccurring guest on Dope Soul Sports Talk. Check that out. It was the back-to-back series
Tony with a double header. Tony had a double header today.
Triple header, really. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, on Knicks and Bruises.
But my show, yes, double header tonight. It was a great show earlier. We talked about Mitchell Robinson and the rumors of us pursuing Trey Murphy the third and what that could look like and how that could turn out if that's feasible. I'm not gonna get into that too, again, but go check that out if you haven't. Check out Dope Soul Sports Talks show earlier. We talked about championship window and the cat trade a little bit more. Shout out to Sim. I know he should be back soon. If not, tomorrow night or tonight, I'm sure he's coming back soon. And appreciate all you guys. This was supposed to be a 30-minute show. Look at this. We rocked out for an hour and a half. But that's what happens when you start talking about the team you love and they in the position they in currently.
And Uncle Fulio brings out the controversy.
Not only that, man, you bring out the crowd too. Let me give you some flowers because when I was first starting out, your show with you on my show was my first 1,000 view.
I remember. Yeah.
Episode ever. You know what I mean? So I might have to change the thumbnail and put featuring Uncle Fulio so people know to come check this one out on the replay gang. Speaking of which, shout out to the replay gang as well.
No doubt.
But yeah, man, appreciate you guys. We'll get out of here. I gotta get up early for work, but you guys just brought my energy up. I ain't even tired no more, so I gotta find something to put me out. But
DJ Shuttle, SoundCloud, check that out. I got something good for you.
For sure.
Hey, the Knicks got important people in the building. The Knicks have winning people in the building. I think that is, to me, starting at that point, the Knicks will be fine. I like where this team is going. I like where this team is going because of that. I think that's my most important thing. Them having winning people in the building. And I think that breeds winning. You know what I'm saying? So sky's the limit for us.
And I know nobody wants to hear this, and I hate to do it on a negative note because some people's going to see it that way. We just got to if we could just like put this Oakley thing to bed, that would be the cherry on top. That would be the cherry on top to get all the OGs coming back, supporting early in the season, not even waiting to the playoffs, coming all season. coming to the practices. You know what I mean? Coming to all of the talk shows, getting hot takes. We need all that energy.
Well, I'll say this because I agree with you, but I also think the front office and the organization might be more receptive to it than Oakley himself. So you know what I mean. I think I think the burden, I think the onus has to be on both sides. You know what I mean?
I'm about to reach out to Oak.
Yeah, you know
I'm about to
what I
reach out.
mean.
I'm about to reach out
Like
to.
let them know the fan base needs you back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, this,
Like
this is not about this is not about Dolan. It's not about the front office. This is about the fans. The
Right.
New York fans
Right.
want you and need you. Oh,
that's right. You sit
that,
right
that's
there
that's the
on
final. That's the final piece. That's the final piece to just completing this cipher right here.
you surround yourself with the former players in that section. You know what I mean? I think you'll be fine. You
I disagree with Tony on this point. It ain't just about. Well, I know you said it's on both sides, but you framed it. You know what I mean? Then you kind of backtracked it, saying it's on Oakley. The onus is on him.
no,
No,
no, no, no,
it's
no.
James Dolan. It's James Dolan's a part of it. The Knicks organization is a part of it. Yes,
I
it is.
think I think both those men are stubborn.
Yeah.
So it's gonna take both of them to come on to, you know what I mean, to reach.
You ain't mentioning James Dolan though. You ain't mentioning him. You just said Oakley, so that's why I said that. So
fair enough.
You're right. You're right though. You're right.
But I think both of them are stubborn. But we need it.
You're right. Yes.
It seems like I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like that the organization kind of conceded a little bit, but maybe didn't concede um to Oak's level. Maybe wanting a public apology or a public statement, or and I think if they reach out to Oak and say, listen, Oak, we want to put this to bed. We want to meet in person. We're going to apologize if to you in front of a press conference or something like that. Like, are you down to do that? Even if we have to tape it and air it.
And that would be awesome. That would be awesome. And you know what I mean? You could, hey, this got out of hand. There's no reason this should have ever got whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now, it would be amazing.
It's on the organization. It's on Dolan to actually take that first step. I don't think it's Oakley that needs to do that. Oakley was the one that was arrested.
Right? No. I agree. I agree in that sense. But there's been reports that I don't want to say Dolan. This is why I didn't say Dolan before, because I don't know if it was Dolan, but it's been reports where the organization has tried to bury the hatchet, since all that. And and Oakley's response was the same thing Shuttle said, is he wants a public apology. You know what I mean? So,
right.
But again, if the organization understands what he means to the fan base, give the apology.
But to Josh's point, though,
right.
I think that there is a level of, like, the organization needs the good PR, and you need the good PR. So you have to be the adult or be the parent here,
right?
And you have to go the extra mile. And no, peace almighty, yeah, you gotta make it right with Oak. Like I mean, you embarrassed this man. You know what I mean? Tremendously. This man was like, listen, he might have said some things, whatever, but like, what was the root of that? Is it just because he had some drinks, or was there really some?
It's deeper than that. They know it. They know it.
Yeah. Right.
Well, I agree.
I'm just saying, was it just because he had too many drinks and he was talking crazy, or was it because kind of like the Spike Lee thing, and it was a Spike Lee thing that you had with Oakley? You know what I mean? So you gotta kind of get to the root of your accountability, Mr. Dolan, and we got to make this right with Oak. And Oak, we need you to be open and willing to be clear of what the demands are of what they need to do, and be able to just state them and see where they stand with it. But the Knicks need to make that right. And again, I just
absolutely, I 100% agree.
It was flashed kind of quick, but there was a message that said that this is what we need. We need somebody like Oakley to come in and kick it with Towns a little bit. This is what I'm talking about. This is we need the last enforcer to come in and wipe some of the zesty off, adjust some of the zesty off, and get some of that going on out there.
Where
You
does
know what
that
I
come
mean?
from, though? I don't understand for the life of me like where that comes from when it comes to Towns. Like as far as like people's perception of him, I don't understand it. People call him soft, and I'm like, well, why? Like,
I think a better adjective would be quirky.
what does that mean though? Like, what do you mean? I'm asking. I really don't know. That's what I'm like.
Nah,
We'll save it for another date. Hey, listen, you ain't gonna hear no none of that from me no more. I was one of those people who called him soft before. You know what I mean? But I've also been on record live watching him last year in the playoffs and saying, "Oh, he's different than I thought." You know what I mean? He's better than I thought. It was just certain things that I saw.
Him versus Embiid is going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy.
It is one thing I am concerned about because he's
quirky.
No, I'm trying to think of the like he falls down a lot. You know what I mean? Like the way he drives, he has dope moves. He's nice, especially for a 7-footer.
He don't fall more than your boy.
No, I know he doesn't. But some of that is concerning. It's like reckless abandon, and I don't mean it in a bad way. You know what I mean? Because he finishes, he does all that, but I get nervous, especially with the
right.
injury and things of that nature. So I think there needs to be more of a balance in that part of his game. But it's still efficient. The shots still go in. You know what I mean? I just don't want him to get hurt. Especially we talk about Embiid going up against Embiid. We know about his malicious intentions.
Yep.
But that's another, you know what I mean? And they got smoke for each other already.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like
they got history. I like it.
I love it.
Ron and John is on now or about to go on now. So everybody, when you leave here, go check out Still Knicks Fans. Always great content over there as well. I had another thing to talk about, but if I mention it, we're gonna just keep going. So we're gonna get out of here on that note. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Replay gang. Shout out to the chat. Your Blackest Time. We out.
Peace.
Fellas. Appreciate y'all.